Up, everybody? Welcome back. It's the HBHOES, the HBHOES podcast. It's your host, Sam. Maddie, unfortunately, is not with us today, but we do have a special guest, the amazing Brandi.
Hello. Thank you so much for having me on.
Of course, girl. We recently connected just on our love for Succession. I was like, yo, do you want to be on our podcast? And she was like, sure. And then I was like, and then I explained it to her and she's like, yeah, it sounds dope. So yeah, we're very, very excited to have you here. We're going to be talking about Succession season 4, episode 4. Let me pull up my notes. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen. Computers run a little slow. Okay, season 4, episode 4, Honeymoon States. And as always, I usually forget to say this, but today I remember, spoiler warning, do not continue this episode if you have not seen Succession, season 4, episode 4, or any of Succession whatsoever from the very beginning. It is all on the table for discussion today. If you haven't seen it, fuck off, go watch it, come back. Yeah, all right. Okay, so we will start it off. Today we're just going to be discussing the episode, discussing the season so far, discussing the series, whatever comes up, and then theories and what we think is going to happen next, because that's what we all want to talk about, right? Like what's going to happen. So Brandi, I will kick it off with you. What were your overall thoughts about this episode?
I thought it was really juicy. I really loved that we kind of got a more intimate picture into each of the characters and how they're kind of dealing with grief. Obviously, everyone handles it differently. And I also feel like there's a lot of cliffhangers. And so I'm really excited to see kind of like what happens specifically with Shiv.
Yeah.
So I thought it was a really good episode. Very funny, actually. I laughed a lot.
Yeah, considering it was a wake. Yeah.
Right. It's quite a somber event, and I found myself chuckling a lot. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah, it's funny that you bring up Shiv and like the ambiguity of everything. Like there were so many things that were left like open-ended, and you're like, fuck, man, why did they write this? Like and
it could go several different ways.
Yes, yeah, of course. And then it's like you can't read their faces quite right, and it's like they're all chronically sad, so you don't really know, Right. Yeah, but Shiv is going to be a big talking point tonight. Of course, we had some big news, but before I get into my own overall thoughts, I thought it would be interesting for the fellow hosts that are listening to the podcast. I think it's a good place to just be like to just list off like the cast and then what their positions are, because we've had a lot of talk about quote unquote the old guard, which is the current assembly of Loganites, the people that are in Logan's corner before he died. And then we also have the siblings and all of their positions. They've been fired and hired and rehired and fired again. And, so I just wanted to quickly go through because none of their positions, all of it was pretty, like none of it was really said outside of, I think, Jerry and maybe Carl, right? But just quickly, Jerry started off as general counsel, which means that she's basically a salaried lawyer that helps with their legal team and on, their executive team. Now is the interim CEO. Was the interim CEO before this episode. Now who the fuck knows what she's going to do. Then Frank was the COO on and off when he wasn't working with Kendall. When Kendall was trying to fuck over Logan. So, but he, chief operating officer, Carl, the CFO, always the CFO. Carolina, head of PR. That's my, just side note, that's my like undercover bitch. I think she's going to make moves, but that's another conversation. Yeah. So Carolina is head of PR, but she's also on the legal team. So her and Jerry, I feel like have this kind of like rapport with each other because they're coming from the same place. Then you have Tom, who was head of cruises, now chairman of ATN. Greg, doesn't matter. Kendall.
Greg.
Kendall, before leaving again, was co-COO with Roman. So that's where they currently were. And now they're both obviously co-CEO. See, this is why we say spoiler warning, because you got 5 minutes into this and you're already spoiled on the end of the episode. So that just like quickly, I thought that might help people like understand the positions. Basically, the old guard is the executive team, and now Logan is being completely or Jerry rather is being like replaced by Logan and Roman both. So it's going to be interesting seeing how that plays out the rest of the season. Um, okay, so let's get into the question. So with Shiv's baby. I mean, that's not a question. Dude. It's a statement, but we got to talk about it, man. Jeez.
My God. First of all, the 2 seconds into the phone call, I was like, she's pregnant. Like this, there's no other, like, unless she has cancer, but like, no, that was never
literally. Yeah, we got the results from your test. I'm like, yeah, 100%.
Of course, she's going to get pregnant when she's going to divorce Tom. Like, of course.
God's irony, isn't it? Like,
honestly, dude, I think with how they're treating her and continuing to ice her out, I feel like she's gonna use this baby and like get back with Tom, and they're gonna maybe try to do a little power play or something. He's chairman at ATN or something. Like he's high up. So,
and they only plan on keeping ATN. The thing is, like, one of the things that we see throughout is like obviously Tom fucked, right? Like his position is no more. He's in quicksand. Greg right along with him because like no one cares that you're a cousin, bro. You're a shithead.
What do you even do?
You don't do anything.
You're basically like an errand boy for everyone else.
Exactly. And yeah, and he like has just become such a cocky like piece of shit this season. And I digress. But yeah, Tom is like in a sinking boat right now and clearly like goes up to every single person who has any sort of power, any piece of sand of power, and is like, I aim to serve. Just like, my gosh, like no shame in these men. But yeah, no, that's a really, really interesting take about like Shiv, because that was one of my biggest questions after this episode is like, where does everybody leave off like star Shiv? Like, where is she? Because this is the umpteenth time that she's been X'd out of the boys club, you know?
She feels extremely othered. And like she said, when they were and her and Tom were on the stairs, like, I feel like I'm the only one that lost someone that like I wanted. Like no one else wanted him around.
Yeah.
And so, that's like her losing basically her only family, right? She's estranged from the rest of her family. And so now she's going to have this family that Tom has wanted so badly. And like, he's going to do anything for her. And I don't know. I think she's very smart. She's obviously been underutilized. And I think them two together, like they could cause some trouble, but
yeah, there's been a lot of Reddit discourse on like whether Shiv is actually being pushed aside every time because of her inexperience or because she's a woman. And it's like, it's arguable on both sides because like Logan elected Jerry, and given it was just an interim CEO position, it was still a woman that took it. But then also on that, Shiv really doesn't have that much experience. But on the other side, it's like you can't help but feel, and especially for Shiv and see it through her eyes, that like, of course, I grew up with two brothers. Of course, they're always the first pick. Of course, like even my own husband, like he only got this far in the company because he married me, but he's still farther and better off than I am right now. Like, what am I,
Also, I just want to note, because poor Connor, she had 3 brothers. Like, we always forget Connor. And I said this to my roommate the other night while we were watching. I was like, there's fucking Connor. He's like, who's Connor? I said, exactly. Like, but I have to point out that we completely just like, she had 2 brothers.
No. My bad. And when I say, I think that like, cause I got slammed on Reddit for this too, because I was comparing Logan to Tywin Lannister from Game of Thrones. And I was like, they both have 3 children who they wanted to succeed them, but don't think are worthy. Both like successful patriarchs, both died in the toilet, right? Like that's, that was but then somebody commented, of course, being a smartass, and was like, Logan had 4 kids. And I'm like, did he know that? Like, like I'm just like,
for all intents and purposes, he had 3. Like, let's be serious.
Exactly. The only ones that were really like involved. So, so when I say 2 brothers, that that's kind of what I mean, is like 2 brothers that are actually like liable, capable in this situation. God, can you imagine if the succession actually went to Connor after all?
I would stop watching the show. I mean, it's gonna be over,
it's done
but
after this season.
no.
So it's like if they just drop that
I
bomb,
would be
oh my
so
God,
excited.
I would. It's almost like Bran
He's a
becoming
buffoon. And can we go on a little tangent real quick about
Mhm.
Connor? Because
Yeah,
and his wife too. I keep forgetting her name because
Willa.
she's not Willa. Thank you.
Mhm.
She's not really memorable either. What the fuck is going on with them? I feel like she did want to leave him, but then he brought up "Are you only with me for the money?" And she was like, "Oh fuck, I can't. I don't know. I don't understand that."
I don't. I really don't either. I think it's on purpose to make it like this is what these relationships are actually like. Nothing is actually real or like said truthfully or anything. And I think the most like honest conversation either of them have had with each other was after Logan died and when Connor approached her like that. And literally all he didn't care if she was with him for the money. And I don't think he's ever cared. She was a prostitute.
You're
I
just
think
like, "Are you gonna leave?"
exactly, and she said, "I'm not gonna leave," and that's all he needed, right? So, I'm like, "Well, good on ya." I don't know, like, eh
Yeah, I feel like she's not. Okay, first of all, and what is with their tour of the fucking Midwest? Where is he
oh,
bringing her?
all the swing states, because he's still trying to get a
Still doing
bubble
the
one.
presidential thing? Oh my god! I thought we forgot about that. Come on, give it up, man. Oh my
No,
goodness.
he's got all the swing states, and it like because he still thinks that he could pull more than 1%, and that's also brings to a really big point because this is something that like I've been like really invested in is like they keep mentioning this election and the
Yeah.
election. There's been references of when it's going to happen, and Roman said in this episode they're talking about the president elect that they wanted, that one douche from last season, about him coming to Logan's house, and Shiv and Roman were kind of going back and forth about it. And Roman was like, "Well, it will likely be your president in a week's time." So it's like the election is literally right around the corner, and that I mean, it's huge for them because they own news, right? It's like the election is everything for news, but it's also like the same kind of what I'm getting at is that all of these episodes, besides the first one called The Munsters, every single one has been about Connor's wedding. And so and then with Connor running for election, the honeymoon states, that's what it's called, is because all the ridiculous states that they're going to for their honeymoon.
Yeah.
I'm wondering, like, is that just like bullshit, like just trying to be funny and ironic, like we're naming all of these things that have nothing to do with Connor about Connor's events, right? Rehearsal dinner, Connor's wedding, and then honeymoon states. Like the last 3 episodes have been named after Connor, but Connor has had nothing to do with them.
Yeah.
I don't know, I think it might just be irony, but I'm like, there's something going on with this presidential election that's gonna be big, I feel like, for all of them. But yeah, anyways, so where were we? What question were we on?
We were on the
Oh
first
god, we were on Shiv's
ship.
baby. Shiv's baby. We
Yeah.
didn't even talk about the baby. Okay, so one thing that I did like rigorous research on this, and I learned that she was 16 to 9. She must be between 16 and 20 weeks. We know that the doctor said come in for your 20 weeks. So we know that she's not 20 weeks. So she's got to be 16 and 19 weeks pregnant. For everybody that is arguing on Reddit if it's Tom's baby or not, I feel like that's just really dumb to like,
Yeah.
even storyline wise, to try to throw in another dude. And I don't know. I'm just like, of course it's Tom's. Like, if
I mean, she had the one. What was that guy's name that she had a thing with 2 seasons ago? But
yeah, that's been
that's
dead and gone for a while. Yeah.
yeah.
And I think that if it was anybody else's, she would be a little bit more relieved. And I think the reason why she looks like she's grieving is because she's actively trying to divorce this man who has been trying to ruin her life for the last 3 odd months, right? So, yeah. So I don't know. I think that that's going to be like a big thing, like her being pregnant. I mean, of course it's a big thing. It's a new baby, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
She
Ugh.
doesn't strike me as someone who's gonna get rid of it.
Yeah, exactly. I think that she's gonna stick it out. But yeah, I'm wondering, but like your theory about like them coming together as a family unit at the end of this, and like maybe she realizes with this baby and with Cam that she doesn't need her brothers and she didn't need her dad, she doesn't need her mom, and she just needs like her baby and her husband, right? Like, you know, I don't know. Maybe she does.
Especially if it becomes solidified somehow that like she's never gonna get ownership of the company. It's like, let me
Yeah.
just get my money and like, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Try to do my own thing.
Yeah. I don't know if that's what I mean, I hope for her that's what she does, right? If she was a real life person, I would hope that she would just find peace with it, but
Yeah.
I don't know if that's Shiv. Her look in this episode, I'm like, oh, it's only a matter of time before she's out for blood again.
She's about to explode.
Mhm. Yeah. Okay, so the big question of this is was Kendall's name crossed out or underlined?
I think
Take your time.
it was underlined. I mean, because let's be honest, if we're quickly highlighting or we're underlining something for work or for school, half the time we're sometimes crossing out too, right? Unless you have like perfect penmanship and very good balance, like that happens.
Yeah.
And I've rewatched the episode a couple of times, and the more I look at it, I'm like, originally I thought it was halfway crossed out, but it really isn't. It's like I would say 2/4 underlined, and then like the last third of it is crossed out.
Mhm.
So, and given that they think it was 4 years ago, like they were in a much better place then, like, so I think it was underlined. But
Yeah.
like,
I think I agree. I have no idea. I don't think we're ever gonna know, right? But I have heard conflicting reports. One from my own mother who will watch this and feel strongly that it was crossed out. And is like, Sam, shut up. It was crossed out. Like like you know it was crossed out. But I think that it might have been underlined just based on the look of it. And I think that whoever did this line said line bravo. I mean, you did a great job. You're confusing the shit out of all of us. I think that like I was trying to think of like the chronology of it. Like Frank said this letter must have been 4 years old based on whatever he said, the letterhead or the paper, whatever was used.
it was
Yeah, so 4 years old. And then I was trying to think like when did the succession, like when did we come in as viewers to this world, right? Like was that 4 years ago? Was it 2 years ago? Was it like how long ago was it? I was thinking that if Succession like season 1 started at year 1 and we're now at year 4, the letter might have been written right before like we come in, right before Logan has the little like mini aneurysm that he has. Which could also cause him to be a little, you know, I don't know, a little wobbly. Mm-hmm. So I think anything, he's ancient. So, oh God, it's hard to tell, but I am going to put my vote in.
If he was going to cross it out, with how vindictive and aggressive he is, like he's not just going to cross it out once. He's going to make sure it's completely X'd out. You know what I mean? He's going to leave no question in anyone's mind. If he truly was like, fuck Kendall, it's never going to be him, he would have actually crossed it out.
That's a very good point.
He's very intentional.
Mm-hmm. It's a very good point. Very good point. Yeah, but then there's also the argument of why would he need to underline it if it was already in print?
Yeah.
You know, I don't know. It's like I need to be off Reddit.
To emphasize. I don't know. Maybe he was reconfirming with himself.
Maybe.
Ugh. I don't know.
Yeah.
Whoever put that thing in the show, get him an Emmy. That's seriously. So cool.
And I think that like outside of even Logan dying, like that's going to be one of the biggest things. Like that's a turning point for everything right now. It's not even, and I hate that I love that they did that to us because they gave us a Logan death, literally the like antagonist of the entire thing in episode 3 of the final season. Mm-hmm. And then we're like, nope, we're not done yet. We're going to fuck with your head some more. And because, you know, and what's so fun about the argument of crossed out versus underlined is that like we're never going to get an answer. We're never going to know because the motherfucker is dead, right? Like he's dead and gone. So, you know, but yeah, I'm veering on the side of underlined. I think Kendall in the beginning, I think what's interesting is like was watching the characters as they're all realizing it. And Kendall seeing it and like you can see, and Jeremy Strong, who plays Kendall, is fucking fantastic with the way that in some cases he can look so confident and just like his chest is big and he's, you know, standing straight up, and then other ways he's just like hunched and he just looks like Eeyore from Winnie the Pooh, and he's just looks like so beaten and so vulnerable. And in this, it was
Yes.
like he started off like unsure, and then as soon as he heard that and saw it, he perked up. And then I think as the episode goes on, he's got like the scene where with Frank, and then he's got the scene where he's in the bathroom, and it's like you can see him starting to like, I don't know, maybe not realize, but like come to the conclusion that it was a cross out and not an underline. And I think that that's ultimately what led to his decision at the very end of he's like, no, blast my father, fuck it. Yeah. I don't know, it's crazy. And then even like like Shiv and Roman, like their perspective of it, I was like, no, why did they show them this? Why couldn't they just let them be? Like, did they do this with a motive? Did they do this because they thought, let's plant the seed, let's break them up because we want our payday, and we're never going to have our payday if these three are in charge, because they're just going to fucking axe all of us as soon as they get power, you know?
Well, we heard the conversation right as they were walking into the little, like, the library, right? Like, into Logan's office. They're like, what was, not, who's the guy with the glasses and, like, the white hair? Not the, like, the thinner guy, but the...
Carl or Frank.
So they both were talking in like the office, and we walked in, and one of them was saying like, "I'm half in with my brother on like this island or whatever. Like I'm trying to get out
Carl.
of here."
Yeah, Carl's a dick. Yeah, Carl's a dick.
So, like,
Frank's a sweetie. Frank is like a, but Frank's like a, he's like a coasting sweetie. He's like a bendy sweetie, and like a, he could be fake. Carl is just a straight up dick, but Carl's never left Logan's side, you know, and he's looking for his payout. But like the way that like them plus Jerry plus Carolina is like what's considered the old guard, right? And them, that scene of them roasting each other, like Jerry was like, "Oh, I love what you did in the 90s with cable." Like, it was like oh my god,
really good. I like their report.
Yeah, I couldn't get enough of it. But yeah, no, it's like they're literally trying to fight for their lives right now, and they finally have a fighting chance. Like, it was crazy how much their personalities actually came out, like how ruthless they could be in this episode now that Logan's gone, and not like, you know, putting them on leashes.
Yeah. I was obsessed when Jerry was like trying to push for like herself, like, oh, like this should be for me. And then Logan was like,
oh yeah,
like when she's like on paper.
Yeah, Roman. Yeah. Yep. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, I'm pretty sure we all know that there's a lot of like paper trail here.
Like
and then she was
like, yesterday, bitch. Like,
did you forget?
I
we were texting. Like, hello.
Yeah, no, she shut up real quick, and that was very funny. It was nice to see Roman like put her in her place after all their history, and then like even like his note about like later on of when the siblings are talking, and Roman's like, or Kendall's like, Roman, you're not going to push for Jer. And Roman's like, no, I'm done walking old ladies across the street. And I was like, oh, shit. It's the end of an era. It's the end of an
Everyone's
era.
going beast. Listen, it's every man for himself right now. Especially because the fucking sale is looming. Like,
yeah,
there's just so many. Oh,
yeah, it's the sale, and then it's the future of ATN, right? And it's like ATN is the one facet of the company that they are planning on keeping, is the media part of it, whereas they're selling the parks and the cruises and all the other bullshit. So yeah, and they're all in. Finally, they all these people agree on the sale, and now it's just a matter of getting the sale through. And now is when I think that Richard Madsen, who is played by Alex Skarsgård from last season, now is when I think that I know, Daddy,
so sexy. Side note: have you seen The Northman? If you have not, watch it.
No, I
haven't. Oh my god.
Oh yeah.
I'm rewatching True Blood right now because I'm like, I can't.
Oh my god, no, True Blood is where the obsession began with True Blood. Are you kidding me?
Yes, exactly. Yes,
the obsession with HBO specifically, specifically with me and Maddie. Like I'm sad she's not here to hear you say that, but like her and I, like that was our first like lock in show together with True Blood. Yeah. Um,
Love that.
yeah, but like Alex Skarsgård. Mm. But yeah, no, I think that he is gonna be like now there's no real antagonist in the
Yeah,
show, and he's gonna be it. Like he's gonna be such a piece of
100%.
shit. And
He's got to step up,
mhm,
like,
yeah.
because you're gonna do what I say because now you're fucked.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, if I bow out, you're fucked.
Well, and then also like not only like they're okay, their stock is tanking right now. We know that from the end of last episode, right? Like
Mhm.
Roman clearly points to his phone, the stock tanks, and he's like, "That's the price of dad,"
Nosediving.
right?
Yeah,
So it's like they have to deal with that. Their worth is all tied up in that. Number one, and then number two, the like I'm thinking about Connor specifically and how crazily he's been spending money. Like I think
yeah.
that I think about Connor a lot. And so if I ever leave him out of a conversation, please know that I'm not this is not for you, Brady, but for the listeners. Please know that I'm always thinking about him because he's fucking crazy. And like if I ever had a son or a brother like him, I would live in anxiety 100% of the time.
Yes.
But he is spending money like crazy. And like, oh yeah, sure, let's spit shake on a $63 million fucking townhouse in New York City. Sure, like that's a conversation to be had over 30 seconds.
And
Um,
how much did he drop on the whole presidential campaign?
my
Like,
God, I think it was like 100 mil or something. And
just
then
nothing casual.
yeah, and that's why he wanted his wedding to like that's why the press was there because he wanted free press and he put fucking like the JFK flags on his boat and like all this like ridiculous shit. And poor Willa, there's an Instagram called Succession Fashion. Great. Because
Ooh,
everything that the siblings wear is like obviously everything that everybody wears is like designer to some capacity. Everything that the siblings wear is between 2000 and like $12,000 everything that they wear. And what
wow,
Willow
nice.
wears is like her like pre-wedding wedding dress was like $200. Her wedding dress was like $300. And I'm like, this girl is spending nothing on this, and Connor is just fucking throwing money to the wind on his 1% campaign. Like, and then yeah, the $63 million house, and I'm just like, every episode, I feel like he is spending something crazy, and if they don't get this deal to go through and their stock continues to tank, they're all fucked. Like they're fucked.
Yeah, yeah.
So what then? You know? Oh gosh, yeah.
There's so much shit going on.
Yeah.
So many ways it could all blow up.
The last thing that we would, I think anyone would expect from this, but I'm not leaving it off the table, is that at the end of the season, they all are just flat broke. So imagine.
That's how they end the show. Just like they're all fucked. They become like regular people. And what was it? Someone said in an earlier season, like if you have 5 million, like that's nothing. You're poor. So
Mhm.
like watch them end up with just 5 million.
Yeah, right.
That
I
would be
know.
nice.
No, they would blow it in like a week. I guarantee it. Yeah. But yes, they were telling Greg that when he was like, "Oh, well, that's what I'm gonna get from my
His grandpa's gonna cut him out.
yeah," and then he denied that, and I think that that's when things started going downhill from him because he denied his very moral grandfather to go follow his very immoral great uncle.
Hmm.
Okay, so I guess we're already talking about it, but my next question was just like, where will everybody land? Siblings, Tom, the old guard, Jerry, Frank, Carl. Um,
Yep.
like what? Like, let's go, Kendall. Where do you think by the end of the season he will be? Like, where do you think he's going to be in the politicking of all of it?
To be honest, there's like a really small part of my gut that feels like he's gonna fall back into his addiction and he's gonna like not do well. Because like my mom passed away a few years ago. We had a very complicated relationship and like abusive, I would say, even. So grieving a relationship like that is like tenfold what
Mhm.
it is to grieve like a relationship. I'd say that if you had a good relationship with your parent,
Mhm.
right? Like,
Yeah.
and he's just so very recently like fallen off and had to
Mhm.
deal with the whole like the death of
Yeah. Yeah.
the server and everything, and Logan blackmailing him. So it's like he's so unstable as it is. I feel
Mhm.
like this. I don't know. I'm
Yeah.
worried about him.
Yeah, I know. I think that with Kendall, we always it's been a trend to start off the season with Kendall doing good and end it with Kendall at like another point of rock bottom that we thought that he couldn't get any lower and just keeps getting,
Yeah.
I don't know if anything's worse than him like accidentally killing somebody, right? But he's still grieving from that, and then yeah,
100%.
the grievance of like a lost parent that also was abusive. It's like it's such a juxtaposed like feeling that you must get. And then especially with Roman, like we like have confirmed that Logan was I think more absent and avoidant of Shiv and Kendall, but with Roman, like we know that he was abusive with him, like physically
Yeah.
abusive with him. So with Roman, I thought it was really interesting the way that we open up to the way that all of them are waking up this morning. We have Kendall, who's a complete mess, right? And then we like pan to like Roman, who's just like looks fresh, brushing his teeth, like
Getting on with his day.
yeah. And then Shiv waking up, not really looking great, but then gets the call immediately that boom, you're pregnant. So it's like it's hard. She's wrapping all that into her own like reason this is what happened. So I think that that's really interesting too, like how they're all grieving. And I think with Roman, I think his grief is the most interesting just on this topic of like I think that it's bullshit when he says I've been thinking about this a long time. I think I've pre-grieved. I think that Roman is such a like he wants everybody to be happy and he feels so good like actually having a good relationship, a healthy relationship with his siblings that like the one problem in that is now gone and
Right.
now they can continue to just love each other and be there for each other versus all of the conflict. And now with Kendall, like with all of this now starting, I think it's going to cause another set of conflict that he won't be able to deal with. But um yeah, but like I can see that with Kendall for sure. I hope that doesn't happen, of course, because he's like truly like a decent person. But yeah, I can see it. I can see that's exactly like I mean that's been the trend. Okay, what about
Yeah.
Shiv? Where do you think? I mean, you already kind of said one theory.
I feel like her and Tom are gonna reconcile because of the baby. And yeah, I don't know what they're gonna do, but I feel like they're gonna do something shisty. But I don't know what they really would have on anyone else and like to
Mhm.
attack from behind. So like I don't know.
Yeah.
But I do think her and Tom are gonna reconcile because I think she's grasping at straws right now. She has no one.
Yeah. I agree. I agree. It was really hard to watch her after like the boys come out and they're all being applauded and she just kind of walks
When
and then
she
oh my
falls.
god, when she fell, I was like, "Oh my god.
I was like, no!
The baby."
Well, it's so embarrassing. And that's like
I
her
know. I
13th
know. Oh my gosh. I
Also,
know.
can we please discuss what the hell was Tom doing on the stairs talking about the first time they did it?
Was it the first time they did
Well,
it?
did it?
Was that what
I feel like it was the first
it
time they had
It
sex.
was so fucking ambiguous that I have no idea what to take from it.
Like I like it all. I kept asking if you like it, if you like it, like what? And then you said you like it all. I'm like, this is very sexual to me in nature. Like I don't
I know,
know.
but like I don't know. It just felt it like the way that she was. I'm like, why? Like, if it was sexual, I'm like, what a time to bring that up.
Right. Well, that was my thought. I'm like so inappropriate, but like very on brand for Tom.
I mean,
Like to be
yeah, I don't
completely
know.
like out of
It was so weird. It like the reason why I didn't like like bring it up is because I have no fucking clue. I have no idea like what he was talking like what it was. It for me felt like he was out there to meet her after something bad happened to her and he was trying to comfort her. That's what I got from it. But no clue. It could fly
yeah.
either way.
I hope they come back to that
Yeah, I
in
hope they
some
do
way.
too. Yeah, they fucking Succession. If you don't, you're stupid because now we're invested, and if you don't give us any sort of, even if it's just a little bit more of context, like just let us know what that
You
was.
cannot leave us to our own devices, please.
Yeah, and like I think that that was probably when they started, and like I think that if it was something even of a sexual nature or of like a she was like going through something negative and he was there to comfort her, whichever way that goes. I think that like that it just clearly showed like the start of their relationship started on something like that. Right. So
Yeah.
like it like in that case, because we started off with Tom and Shiv being together.
Right.
And so we
In a
didn't know.
good place, I feel like.
Yeah, exactly. And we never got like how they actually met, right? So
No, and do we know how long they've been together?
no idea, because that would tell us how long the show's been on, and no one knows that. And that's what pisses me off, because I don't know, I'm a chronology gal, and I'm like, I really like to know when things are happening. Like, give me months, give me dates, give me times of the
Yeah.
season. And Succession gives none of that. It's so they live in their own worlds of like time doesn't
Yeah.
pass, right? Um so I have no idea. It could be 2 years ago, it could be 6 years ago, it could be fucking 8 years ago, who knows? No idea. Okay, what about Roman? Where do you think Roman's going to be at the end of all of this?
Wait, what'd you say?
Sorry, I said, what do you think about Roman? Where do you think that he's going to be at the end of all of this?
I don't really know, because to be honest, I don't really think about him much. And like not really, not for any negative reasons, just because like maybe because he's always so jokey, I don't take him seriously. I don't know. I don't know what his vision is for himself.
Yeah.
So like because he is such a people pleaser, and like I recognize that in him, and just like even the whole like, oh, I'm fine, I'm fine, I'm fine. It's like
Mhm.
you want to be fine with it, but you're not, because like your dad abused you. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I
I
mean?
know. Yeah.
You were always trying to be the best for him, and you were never good enough. So it's
Mhm.
like, yeah. So I don't know like what his even vision is for himself. So I have a hard time envisioning
Yeah.
one for him.
That's a really good point. If I think about where I can't actually, it's unfair that I'm even asking these questions, because if I ask them to myself, I have no idea. I have no fucking clue. All I know is that like my like ultimate theory is that I think that Kendall is gonna fuck over Shiv and Roman to be number one.
100%.
That Yeah,
100%.
that's how I think that the whole thing is going to end. I think that it's basically this entire show was Kendall's like villain origin story. Like it
This
was
is all I've
just,
ever wanted.
yeah.
Yeah.
But I think that like and the thing is like all of them are arguably good people, all of them are arguably terrible people, all of them are arguably like can be empathetic if they let themselves be. And
Yes.
it's really so nice to see them, especially in this season, being like close with one another. And I'm sad for when that inevitably ends, because it will.
Yeah.
But yeah, and it's really shitty, because I'm like, Kendall is the older brother, and Kendall, like, from the very beginning, Roman was the one that was like the piece of shit, like didn't care about anybody, like just fucked off and did whatever he wanted. Shiv was the person that was too busy and too good for everyone, and Kendall was the one that was like actually trying to like stay grounded in the very beginning when we first meet it. The opening scene is Kendall, right?
Right.
So I think that of the entire series, I mean, was Kendall. And so but then we gradually start to see like their relationships, and I think that they all feel so good about being close right now, that I think that it's on the writers. They're gonna end this in heartbreak, and I think the ultimate heartbreak is Kendall, the older brother, the one that they trust the most, the one that tried to get them all together the entire time, is like, fuck you,
Gonna
this is mine. Mm-hmm.
Yep. I 100% think so.
Yeah. Okay. Maybe an easier question. Now that Kendall and Roman are in power, consent like at this like equal power, what do you think is going to happen to Jerry?
She says it's an easier question. Is it really?
I'm sorry. I'm
Um,
sorry. I'm going off. I'm going off from, I'm delving farther in.
I Okay, and for the listeners, I have a really bad memory, so if I ask questions, sorry. But remind me, like, where is Kendall with Jerry right now? I know Roman fucking hates her.
Well, Roman and her, Jerry's the one that Roman had the like rub and
Yeah,
tug
they were
session.
like,
But yeah. So
Yes.
Roman, I don't think he hates her. I think that he just had to fire her and had to like turn off feelings because he was supposed to fire her, right? I'm thinking
Okay.
that I don't think that he hates her at all. I think that he has a massive soft spot for her. I think he's the only mother that he ever knew.
Yeah.
You know, that kind of like she's that position for him. But with Kendall, I don't think Kendall really gives a shit about her, to be honest. So
Yeah.
that's where I'm like, it's really like a Roman lead thing. Like, is he gonna keep her around? And that's maybe not a question for you to answer, but like I guess just a question like in general. That's a question that we have is like, what's gonna happen with Jerry? Carl,
Yeah.
Kendall loves Carl,
Yeah.
but Roman hates Carl. And then who's the other one? Jeez. I always
Frank.
like I get them confused. Frank. Oh no, it's not Carl. Everybody hates Carl. Kendall loves Frank and Roman hates Frank. So
Wait. Frank is the one with the more narrow face.
yes.
Okay. Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and Carl's the one with the blonde hair. Yeah.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah. Carl is the one that told Tom that he was fair and squarely fucked, which was one of my favorite
Yes.
lines. Oh gosh. I mean, I think that concludes like the questions, right? But I guess like bonus round, do you have a favorite scene or a favorite line from this or from the season so far?
Ooh, favorite line.
There's so many.
I mean, there's so many, and I feel like from this episode specifically, a lot of people are probably going to have this one, but just how Kendall came back and used Hugo's like the line that Hugo said to his daughter
Mhm.
back against him, like, "Do you want me to get the strap on?" and like, "Fuck you." I love that. I thought it was
Yeah.
hilarious because it's like, like I got you, dude.
Yeah, it
You're gonna
pulled
help me, or like you're going to prison because hello.
exactly. It pulled basically one of the first actual lines from the episode all the way to the last line of the
Yeah.
episode. It was genius.
I love how they like wrapped it around, and just like that was a very Logan-esque move. I felt like obviously they're all blackmailing, but like I don't know, that just felt
Yeah, it felt, and especially like in the context. So Kendall is basically saying, "Flame my dad. He's dead. He's barely dead. Not even 24 hours dead. Fuck him. Fuck his reputation. Flame him." And you know, you have to do it because otherwise I'll get you for fucking insider trading, you asshole.
Yep.
So my favorite line was also from Killer Kendall, which it's really funny that now we know that Kendall's middle name is Logan. So KLR, like killer.
Hell. Yep.
Yeah. So one of my favorite things is when they're telling the three kids about the letter with Kendall's name, and it's like, oh, is it, you know, look, your name was printed on this. And Shiv keeps pushing back, like, oh, well, it could be underlined, but it also could be crossed out. And Kendall was like, well, it sure as fucking shit doesn't say Shiv. And I was like, ow, 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 ow.
Hey,
Like he didn't mention you at all. So fuck off. My God. Yeah, that was
oh
that
my
was
god.
tough. That was tough. That was like oof. I felt that like in my butthole for Shiv. It was like, oh God, yeah, girlie, sit down. Sit down after that one. That hurts.
Listen, why are you going so hard for this now? Would it be so horrible if Kendall like interim was, you know, leader for just a short like what do you
I
care?
know. I think that
I mean, obviously it's never gonna go to you and you know that and we all know that, but like,
yeah.
you know.
I mean, she fucked that for herself. She literally fucked that for herself because it was the when they were trying to merge with Pierce and she says at the table, like, tell him, Dad, it's gonna be me. And I'm like, that was her ending. That was her fucking final line. She was dead in the water there, like right then and there. And I'm like, Siobhan, like, no. If you would have just held your tongue and been patient, this probably would have happened for you. So yeah, I mean, but I don't know. I think that it goes to show like how much, like, the thing is, like, the three of them love each other to death. The three of them can't trust each other for anything. And that's the problem. That's always been the problem. So it's like they don't trust any one of them being in power where the other two aren't, because then it's like, no, you're gonna, yeah, I don't trust you. Yeah. So now I think that Shiv being on the outside, it's really gonna cause some tension. Oh no. It was so nice.
But dang, now I just kind of thought about Roman though. Now I'm like, because he has been so kind of like laissez-faire about the business aspect, like the entire series. Now I'm kind of like, what if they do like do a little power switch, and like he is the one that takes over.
I don't know. I mean, the thing is, so what's interesting that you say that, it was something that I didn't know if I was going to bring up today or not, but the name Roman, his real name is Romulus, and there's a Greek, like a Greek, like mythology story. I don't know what to call it. Flame me if you want, whatever. But there's a story of Remus and Romulus, where they're both Remus and Romulus are trying to take over Rome, as they're both brothers. They're trying to take over Rome, and in order for one of them to be on top, and I'm sorry if I'm getting some of the details wrong, but basically Romulus wants to be the only ruler of Rome. So he kills his brother Remus and then names Rome after him. Rome, right? Rome Romulus. So that's like a old, story. It's not, I don't know if it's actually true or not. I think it might just be like Greek mythology, but nonetheless, he was named after that. So basically, like someone that's destined to take down their brother. So I've always kind of thought going into this season, like, oh, this might be Roman's like season to get on top finally, because always ever been Kendall and Shiv. Those were always the two top, and Roman was the younger brother that was unserious and didn't matter, and and he finally started giving a shit.
Seriously.
Yeah, exactly. He finally started giving a shit. So now, like, he's really like putting his name in the hat, and he's like, no, you're going to fucking consider me, like, period. So I don't know. I mean, like, it's in it, but like, then you have all the names, like now Kendall, not a crazy name, but then KLR, killer, right? And then you have Khan, and then you have Shiv, and it's like,
all very violent and like
Shiv, Khan, Killer, and Romulus, right? Like,
who killed his brother? Like,
oh gosh, yeah. The name.
All I know is I'm frothing at the mouth for next week's episode. Like, I cannot even wait.
It's gonna be crazy,
and I'm probably gonna rewatch this episode again. I might even do a rewatch of season 4 up until.
I think I will. I don't know if I can do last episode again just yet. I think I might need a little time on that, because like even like the previously on for this episode, I was like, no, I need to look away. It's so sad. My God, it's just like I feel like my little babies are grieving, like they're horrible little babies, but I love them,
So yeah, they're still grieving nonetheless. As shit as Logan was, like, still was their father, still was, that presence in their life.
Yeah.
And even if he was shitty, he was consistently shitty.
Well, yeah, and they are just a product of their environment, they would be much better people had they been in a better situation, and with, with their like basic emotional needs met, their lives, that they would be completely different. So but I think that wraps it up. I think we did good. We talked about a lot, girl.
Yes, thank you so much. This was awesome.
I know. It was fun, right? Well, it was so much fun talking to you. You will be back on, so Brandi will be back on. I'm not sure which episode, because I'm not good at memory and figuring out when it's scheduled, but she will be back on one of the episodes in a few weeks. So stay tuned for that. We're going to have more guests on for the other episodes. So every week we're going to be uploading them to wherever you get your podcasts. So stay tuned. Maddie hopefully will be joining us back next week. And yeah, I think we covered a lot. I think we did some good dives actually too. So this was really fun. We're excited for the next episode. We're excited to see what the fuck else is going to happen with the season. Like, it's going to be nuts. It's going to be absolutely insane. So, all right.
So excited. Thanks so much.
All right. Well, bye guys.
Bye. Bye.